get the attendance for the meeting so I know who we have.
Well, you said she wasn't going to be here. I meant to tell you that earlier, sorry.
And we'll worry about that after the fact.
Okay.
I more just want to make sure I'm keeping track of who's been showing up. So the topics for today, just a little bit simplistic. First, I apologize. Obviously, hurricane this past month. My brother's getting married once in a lifetime. Hope the hurricane, knock on something, is once in a lifetime too. There's nothing else that's foreseen that I know of where I'm not going to be around very often. So I appreciate everybody being patient. I typically don't end up dipping out like that. It's not really my thing. I try to give everybody as much notice as I can. With that said, several things were brought to my attention while I've not been around, and I want to make sure that I address them. I always think the meeting is like the best place to do so. So for me, the first thing I want to make sure I clarify is test builds are test builds for a reason. They're in testing, but the idea is that we test them, right? So if we're trying something, we're trying it, and we all try it together, because in order for its effectiveness to truly be measured, we all need to be trying to maximize its effectiveness. We undermine our ability to test things if we all are doing different things, and therefore the effectiveness of a build, particularly in World v. World, is not truly understood, right? Because all the different builds have synergy with each other. So if people deviate from that, things like Kandi removal, right? If the way we're testing, all of a sudden one class is pivotal to Kandi removal, and we're just not Kandi removing with that class anymore, and no other class kind of fills that void because we're not at a place where we have something else that's been redesigned, well, then the whole raid falls apart, and that's not fair to the other 20 plus people in the raid. So my thing is, I have no problem if we want to try different things. My big thing is we need to set times in advance, pick raids, organize around that, and then comp around that. Because if we just all arbitrarily just kind of hodgepodge it, it makes it so then no one's going to have fun. We won't be very good. Especially in this meta, because this meta seems to be super punishing with Boonstrip and Kandi. So it's like, I honestly feel this is the craziest meta in terms of like winning and losing. A little tweak can determine whether you win and lose. I think from the GVGs we had the other week, I saw that like there were times where all of a sudden we were getting shit on, and then we made some in-game adjustments, and literally we went from getting shit on to shitting on them, and it was blink. So test builds are test builds for a reason. They're not permanent. They're test, but when we test as a team. Biggest thing that we need to make sure is that we have enough Dragon Hunter, Firebrand, Spellbreaker. We have a ton of Scourges. People at the next meeting, I think, are going to have to make a decision in terms of the two classes they're going to want to main. I doesn't have permission.
User in your channel is recording.
So the next meeting in 2 weeks, I'm going to have everybody pick their top two classes and go from there. And then I'm going to design the guild roster around that. I'm going to have caps on classes. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. But Scourge is going to have a cap. I have to figure out what it is, because I don't want to have to just keep people needlessly, especially people who've been in for a long time and they really want to play a class that they're really passionate about. So I have to find a middle ground. But if half my roster wants to play Scourge,
how's it going, dude?
Make raiding very effective for anyone. The other thing is we need more frontline Ellies. So the big thing that we really need to be focusing on is frontline Ellie, stability from Dragon Hunter, testing Firebrand, and then playing Spellbreaker. Particularly Spellbreaker, right now we're testing with the Kandi until we find a more effective Kandi removal class. I think Spellbreaker right now is the most effective that I've seen, but I'm open-minded to seeing other classes if people can demonstrate that value. I want to play backline Revenant, backline Sniper in my backline party, and maybe a backline Ellie, but I'm more interested in a backline Revenants right now. I think backline Revenants do superior damage. So
I would recommend a backline Mesmer as well.
Yeah, so I keep getting torn.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I should say we should interject and everything, because then it opens up for everyone else. But I'm torn. Do I want to call it backline Mesmer? Do I want to call it a midline Mesmer or midline Chrono? I'm very torn. I want to play a utility Mesmer. I want to play one or two, but I don't want to go down that path at the moment. My bigger fixation, I need frontline War Mancers for healing sustain. I need Spell Breakers for Conde removal, CC Boon Strip, and I need more Dragon Hunters for stability or Firebrands for testing. Those are my big deficit areas. So that's comp. That's how that goes. Next, leadership in the guild. Officers, how that rolls. I'm not around for a couple of weeks. Well, Grim, what does that mean? You're not around for guidance. We're used to you kind of being the one promulgating the vision. How do we work from that? Well, first things first. I need to do a better job talking to each of the officers, make sure that they understand their role. Because different officers have different roles. Not everybody's a generalist. Not everybody's like, oh, I touch every facet. No, you touch an aspect of the guild. That's your area that you are in charge of as it matters. It's really important that I'm clear with all that. Because if I don't, then I create problems not just for me, but for you guys, the members, because you're unsure where to get your directions from. Furthermore, I also want people to feel that if they feel that a situation is not being addressed, or that when I'm not around, people act differently, and that they feel that they're being unfairly targeted, or that their concerns aren't being considered, I want you to feel comfortable that you can come talk to me. I may be rude and a dick and an asshole in the middle of a raid, and I say mean things and yell, but when we're not raiding, I hope, joking aside, that you know that you can come talk to me if you have a concern. I won't be dismissive of your concern. I won't brush it off. I don't try to act capricious. I try to be fair and just in my assessment, regardless of whether you're the most important person in the guild, the least important person in the guild, the guy who's been here for 10 years, the guy who's been here for 2 weeks. I try to create a fair environment for everybody because I think that's vital to create a successful guild. So I just want to make sure that I stress that. After the meeting, I'm going to talk to each officer. I'm going to make sure each officer understands their role. When I'm leading raids, I don't want anybody undermining me when I raid. I don't want you fucking talking. I don't want you giving countermining orders. I don't want that, right? If you're helping me lead, try to be, it's like, I want you to be the least intrusive as possible to help me, right? Think of it as like we're putting on a show. I'm on the stage. I'm giving my set. If you're doing the sound, you're doing the lights, you're doing the props, you're doing the wardrobe changes, you're doing all the other things that make that show successful. The idea is that we don't want to detract from the show in order to achieve our job. So we need to be careful when we're raiding, when people they have the best intentions, but sometimes they don't realize like they get too involved. I want you to just remember that if you can handle things in whispers, do it. If you have something you need to take care of, talk to your party. When we're fighting, I want to keep comms clean for you guys. I want you guys talking. I want everybody calling their abilities. Like when we had those 2 fights where everybody was talking at the end, that's what I want every time. I thought that was awesome. I was really feeding off that energy. I think a lot of people were too. It really enabled me, especially in this meta, where if I push too hard or I don't know what's going on, I don't know my stab, I don't know my Conde, I don't know what the damage is, the boon strip, when I can CC, whether they have no legs, all those important things that make me successful. If you don't communicate those in this meta, it's really easy to push just like a little bit too far, get CC'd, your stab is stripped, and then you're dead. So communication, I think, is even more important than it's ever been. And I want to raid and the TeamSpeak to be about that. All the administrative things that happen in the raid, I want them to try to be handled in other channels. And like I said, if I'm leading or Drummer's leading or, Christian's leading or anyone's leading, the point is give them the respect to lead. Don't undermine them. Even though that's not your intention, when you detract from their voice and letting them run a raid, you lessen that respect. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there. I think that was important. I know we haven't had a meeting in a couple weeks. I haven't been around to address those things. I think they were important. I hope it was important to you guys, and I hope that I did an adequate job in trying to answer them. I'll open the floor up at the end so we can talk about certain things, and maybe I missed things. Maybe I didn't do an effective job communicating my thoughts. So I want to make sure that I give you guys time at the end to to kind of go back and address it. So we talked about comp, we talked about the officers, talking about the situation in the guild in terms of communication, being able to come and talk to people if there's issues, right? We talked about the way the raids are led, right? We talked about how we do testing. We talked about recruitment, right? We hit a lot of really important things. Next up, okay, we're doing lots of lemongrass. Lemongrass is the big thing right now. The condies are just disgusting, okay? We're building lemongrass. Help me build lemongrass, right? If we have to, we need to put it in the spreadsheet, right? Connor helps build it, or I can help build it. I have the recipe. He has the recipe. I think several others do. In the guild bank, right? We're trying to make, so we need lemongrass clearly. We need poultry stock, right? There's several things that we need. The most expensive, I believe, unless something's changed since the expansion, was the lemongrass, the poultry stock. Everything else is pretty cheap.
Onions.
And then onions, if you can get stacks of onions. But you get onions again pretty cheap, I think, unless they changed again. Those are the big things to me I want to really be focused on, right? I want to make sure that we're constantly running the pots. The other is your stones. Everybody should be fixated on their stones. Everybody should be fixated on their gear. And everyone should be fixated on legendaries. So everyone has marching orders, what they should be focused on when they're not raiding. Right, we talked about getting the legendary gear, making sure his space is saying, hey, I want to get my diamond every week. I got to get my diamond. I got to get my tickets. I need my tickets so I can expedite when I get my gear. That way with my gear, I can change my stats. And that way I can be more flexible and agile in terms of changes with builds and the meta. The other thing is, right, siege. We need siege. So make sure, right, every basic recipe, every superior recipe you get for siege, please put it in the bank. All your mithril, your elder wood, please put it in the bank. If you can donate money, please put it in the bank. If you can donate bags, please put it in the bank. We need tier 5 materials. We need tier 6 materials, right? We're constantly trying to raise money. We're on Borderless Pass for a reason. We're on Borderless Pass because it's a cheaper server. It's always open. It enables us as we recruit new members like we did today, like we do other weeks, right? That if they're on another server and they like playing in the guild, when we get a new matchup, which I think is happening, Wolf, was it 4 weeks from now? Anybody know when the
27th.
When is it?
27th of
27th.
October.
So it's coming up, right? So money is important, guys. It's super important because we want our guys to stay with us as we build. We want to grow our community. So the whole reason why we're in Borderless Pass is to say, hey, you know, I really like playing with you on Crystal Desert. You're fucking awesome. Come play with us on the next server, and the next server, and the next server. And that's why it's very important that we have the resources we need. So we're still building legendaries. If you're interested in building a legendary, let me know. Right? We have 2 legendaries we're working on right now. We have about like 6,000 gold, and then we have several thousand in mats. Right? I want to get up to about 10 to 12,000 gold. That's my goal. So that we have a nice war chest to help people move. So let me know if you are interested in building a legendary. Right now we are paying, I think, Wolf, how much was the last I paid you? Or, you know, Mike. Nurgle, how much was the last that you
I
made?
made 400 profit on it.
How much were
400
you?
gold is what you make off of it.
How much were we paying for your legendary? How much did you get? So for those who are interested, you heard testimonials now from several people. We do this all the time. Everyone got paid. I think Wolf has sold 2. He got paid both times. Nurgle's been paid. Many people have been paid. A drummer's been paid. Right? If you have map completion you don't want, and you're interested in making some free money, let me know. A good opportunity to make a lot of money easily for not a lot of work if you have it lying around and you have no intention of using it. We use that to make legendaries to sell to help pay for people in the guild. So I just wanted to take that moment, plug that Superior Siege Initiative. I wanted to plug that. While you're in the guild bank and you have the bank right here, take the time, right? Put in your mithril, put in your elderwood, put in badges of tribute, right? So one of the things we need our badges of tribute. You buy them from the war room, from the vendor, right? We need badges of tribute. Again, spend 100 every couple weeks, not a big deal. Get 100 badges of tribute, throw them in the bank. Tier 5 material, throw it in the bank. You have silk stacks, throw it in the bank. If you have tier 5 mats, throw it in the bank, right? Globs, same thing. Unidentified dyes, bags, throw it in the bank. Materials to help make lemongrass, throw it in the bank. Super important. Also, if you're running Scourge, you're running Spellbreaker, you're running Mesmer, you should be running Sigil of Absorption. Make sure you're getting your Sigil of Absorption and then maybe the Sigil of Draining, because it does insane damage and bypasses the toughness. The Sigil of Absorption steals boons on interrupt. So if we're playing constant boon strip, right, it compounds the issue when you have the absorption on. It makes it so much more effective. Very, very important. So again, guys, Siege, regular, superior, bank. Stones, logs, bank. Tribute, slivers, bank. Tier 5, bank. If you have any money that you're able to donate, feel free. Building legendary, you want free money, let me know. I'm making legendaries, raising money, moving people from Crystal Desert to Borderless Pass. We have till the end of the month. Got to take advantage of this. Super fucking important. This is stuff that needs to be done. This is how we maintain a successful guild, right? That's the lighting, that's the sound, that's the costume, that's the set. All of this grows to craft the play. That's the raid. We raid 5 times a week. There's a lot going on. We need everybody to participate to make it a great show. So please make sure this gets done. Recruitment wise, right now we're recruiting. If you know people, let me know. I'm really trying to find frontline Oromancers, Spellbreakers, Dragon Hunters / Firebrands. And I'm looking for 1 to 2 backline Revenants. I need 1 or 2 backline Revenants. Otherwise, class-wise, we're good. Let me know. I'm constantly recruiting, looking for people. Now, last thing in the meeting, I think we'll cover most of it. I'll let officers go, and then we'll open up to the floor. The next thing that I think is very important, right, is when we're talking about the comps, we're talking about the builds, what are the requirements as a member? Right? Everybody should be on TeamSpeak. Everybody should be running Arc DPS. I know I got to re-download it since the last patch, right? Everybody should be using a mic or on TeamSpeak at least, repping in World v World, right? These are things that everyone's supposed to be doing. They're very important. Right? Running the builds, being on TeamSpeak are non-negotiable. I need you to do it, because if everybody runs their own build or is not on TeamSpeak, our ability to be effective as players is not going to be very strong. The other thing is we're going to do more GVGing now that I'm back, right? I'm going to start scheduling out more matches, but I'm not going to schedule matches so we got guys in the right comp so I can effectively test comp. The best way to test builds is in GVG formats. Certain things like snipers are not as effective, right, because of the Spellbreakers and small quarters relative to large scale. But a lot of it is endemic. I shouldn't say that. What's the word I'm looking for? It's very much endemic to World v World, right? It's very representative of World v World, or indicative. So I really want a GVG. I want to test stuff. I want to use Arc DPS to help me tweak things. I don't want anyone to use Arc DPS as a way to say somebody's bad. Somebody doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not a good player. That's not the purpose of Arc DPS. If I find out you're doing that, I'll talk to you. After the first time I talk to you, I'll kick you. We're using Arc DPS to help us from a science perspective. Right? So that way we can make concrete, rational arguments steeped in fact, right, of, hey, how effective is this build compared to another build? That's why we do it. To learn, become better, not to use it to marginalize our players. That's not the point. So, at the end, again, I'll open the floor so people can talk. We have people talk about Arc DPS. We can have people talk about a host of things. I just want to get through that content, and then we are good to go. So I think I covered everything that I thought was relevant. Tremor, you've been around when I haven't. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, not at all.
Connor, anything that you would like to add?
The two primary foods we need right now for the lemongrass, I need poultry, and I need, what was the other one I need? I need onions to make this stuff. Those are the two things that I'm really, really short on.
So guys, if you have onions or you can help buy a stack or two, please, in the guild bank. Again, all the food is used for all of you. So don't be a mooch, right? Don't depend on everybody else to donate. Right? We put a pot out for everyone, so everyone should be able to throw in a little bit of something for all the free benefit they get.
Yeah, I made 15 pots. That's 150 bowls, guys. So, and I don't use it because I'm a necromancer. It's not for the, I'm not a frontline player.
Poultry's also real cheap, so people can buy that.
Just buy it, put it in the guild bank. I'll craft it.
Anything else, Connor?
No.
Nurgle, you there? Anything you want to say? Okay. Ethan, anything you want to plug?
Well, I always like to plug the Superior Siege Initiative, of course. We need Kata's, Trebs, shield generators. Yes, lots of shield generators and rams. Those are very important. But when it comes to the ARC DPS, one of the things I find myself doing is when I'm looking at it, I'll just call out the top like 3 or 4 people who were in the DPS, and then that doesn't mean, that just means people have something to aspire to, as opposed to, saying, hey, the people at the bottom 20, suck, because they're probably running heal builds and stuff, I mean, that's, just how I do it.
No, understood. And then, I mean, Wolf, if you want to comment on some of that, I definitely, like you said, I mean, what you're doing usually when you're looking at the ARC DPS to kind of help you evaluate your play and other people's play.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would just say that yeah, I really appreciate when other people in my party specifically record, because then you usually have a lot more information. You can tell how things play together more.
Well, and even just going to the detailed thing, just because in the detail you can start seeing how much boons you're ripping, how many boons are ripped off of you, how much cleansing you're doing, both in and out, right against you, and when you do it, right? There's a host of different things that kind of show you things besides just damage. A lot of times people get fixated on the damage, that is DPS meters, but there's a lot of support functions, healing as well, that it captures. That can really help, I think, assist you in figuring out where your strengths and weaknesses are. Especially when others communicate it, because then it's like, hey, I'm doing, cleansing of this rate. Well, how are you doing? Oh, well, it gives me something to measure myself to in terms of quality, to compare. Awesome. What other officer am I missing right now? Sithfu, you got anything you wanted to plug? I know we were talking about stuff earlier. Any thoughts that you wanted to add, or?
Just respectful to others and how you come across and everything for everybody. I know myself sometimes I may come across a little aggressive on certain things, but I don't mean anything by it. And then, pretty much it, I guess. The morale. I know some people, I guess I should say this too. Some people, I don't know if they get offended when, I know a lot of people are busy in game and everything, but when somebody says hi or what's up, it's, I try to make a point to say it back, and sometimes, if they're having a bad day, they may take it personal or something, which you shouldn't, and I did the other day. Not really personal, but I don't know. Because a lot of guilds I've been in over the years and everything, that's what a big thing is, just nobody talking hardly or not saying hi, and they don't feel like they're accepted or whatever or anything like that. But I'm just saying, just be mindful of other people too, because we are a family and everything.
Yeah, Cinderella
Yeah,
doesn't like us.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
But she's always been mean to us, though. I mean,
User in your
But, like-
channel is recording.
Everybody except Sin. There we go.
that's because she's a woman.
I knew that was coming.
Poor
In a video game, if you're a woman, it's like you're like a unicorn, and everybody like pets you, gives you food and like water, and place to
That's a
sleep.
lie. Everyone makes fun of you. Ask